Welcome back to Shelf Warmers. I'm Sam.
And I'm Andrew.
This is the podcast where we watch and discuss movies from roughly 2012 to 2020, aka the pump and dump period of Hollywood. Not exactly a golden age, but definitely a time of high fertility for Tinseltown.
So fertile, in fact, that we did not see many of the movies produced. So they're good, they're bad, or just meh, we're going to cover it all. If it's been sitting on the shelf, well, it's time to take it down.
That's right. And today we're covering 2015's Tomorrowland, starring Britt Robertson, George Clooney, and directed by
Brad Bird. One of our guys.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
It's kind of funny, when we were in college, we used to, when we be like, like getting ready to go out, this happened at least twice.
Yeah.
We would be getting in the mood, we always taking shots and drinking and being crazy college kids. We would run the first act of The Incredibles.
Specifically the first act.
It's an amazing first act. And I don't know about you, but I got a very similar vibe to The Incredibles in the first 5 minutes. And we'll jump the gun there, but
I had to look it up because there's this opening title, obviously, Tomorrowland, and Incredibles.
the same font.
It's very similar.
It does feel like a lot of him hitting the same kind of beats.
Come
on.
That
Yeah, no,
versus that.
that's very similar.
For our video listeners.
Well, it's the same
who don't
retro
exist.
future vibe that he's obsessed with.
Yeah, a lot of retro futurist nostalgia here, which I feel like Brad Bird wasn't even a part of.
No, he's 60. He's like our dad's age. He was not 10 years old going to the World's Fair in 64.
No.
Sam, what's the synopsis of this movie, Tomorrowland? I've never heard about it. Can you fill me on that?
I'm going to tell all our listeners about Tomorrowland. I mean, like all of these shelf warmers, you probably remember seeing the trailer.
Oh, I remember the jail scene.
Yes.
Very vividly.
When the jail scene comes up, you're like, oh, this is from the Tomorrowland trailer.
Yeah,
This
of
is
course.
not
I'm
from
very
the
familiar with
movie.
that.
But whenever Casey Newton touches a lapel pin with the letter T on it, she finds herself transported to Tomorrowland, a city filled with huge robots and sleek buildings. The gifted young woman recruits the help
I like
of
that
scientists.
I like that you special. They call it sleek buildings and huge robots.
That's what it is.
Honestly, that is kind of all it is. We don't really see a lot about the place.
It's very kind of blurry, just kind of vague CG.
I was thinking about that at one point. They do crash into a building, and I was like, so are they office buildings or
It seems like
laboratories?
there's only 20, 25 people.
There's
walking around.
there's 6 caps. Sorry, we're in Boston over the weekend, so I slipped into that by accident.
Caught some of that.
Yeah, caught some of that. Some of the Boston speak. Yeah, there's 5 cops, 5 scientists, and an army of robots.
Yeah. But Casey basically recruits the help of scientist Frank Walker, a previous visitor to Tomorrowland, who years ago made a startling discovery about the future.
Played by George Clooney.
And together, what are you insinuating with that whistle?
He's a silver fox in this movie. Looks good.
This is when he really hits his stride of being older. Clooney, Pitt did the same thing. They get to a certain age where they're just
Yeah,
they're
and
chiseled.
he could be 45 in this. I would have no idea. He's probably 50. I genuinely have no idea.
You think he might be a little older?
He could be older, but I have no clue how old George Clooney is. I was like, is he 70 now? How old is George Clooney?
He's 64
64.
now.
Wow.
So he was 54
Live
10 years ago.
Clooney age check on this. 54 when he made Tomorrowland, 64 nowadays. We hope he makes it to 65, folks.
I just looked him up and they have that crazy picture of him
Oh yeah.
in Good Night and Good Luck
When he's
where he dyes his hair black.
yeah,
Which
and
is exactly what we're not talking about with him in Tomorrowland.
it makes him look older. It looks like the second version of the Joker from Batman animated series. Do you remember that?
Where his hair's black.
With hair's black, he got the redesign, and you're
there's
something's off.
There's a green streak.
So Clooney's a scientist. We
Yeah,
said
so
Silver Fox.
Yeah, they make a discovery about the future, which is basically the world's ending in 58 days or something weirdly specific, but also a long time. 58 days, that's a lot of time to get your shit together.
Yeah, you probably stop it.
But together, the two adventurers travel to the metropolis to uncover its mysterious secrets, which...
I don't
know
know
if that's
secrets. No, I think everybody's pretty quickly been here's what's happening.
Yeah, it's very clear the stakes are the world, which is always good.
Sam, do you know when Tomorrowland came out?
I know it came out in 2015, which was a big year for us.
May 22nd, 2015. I will say to jump the gun, I did see this movie opening weekend in the theater.
Whoa.
Saw it with
Seriously?
my dad. Yeah. My dad and I are big Disney guys, or we were. I don't know if I still would say I am. But when I was in high school,
It's okay. No shame here on the Shelf Homer Pod.
I'm not like a Disney adult, but I have an appreciation for the parks and the craftsmanship that goes into those things and making those as magical as they are. I've always really enjoyed like the immersion, also the craftsmanship of the rides and the aesthetic and everything like that. It really is something so impressive.
I mean, yeah, they set the standard for every amusement park, and I think the amusement parks are probably doing more innovative, exciting things than the films.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of what our little slate here is about, of, Disney kind of losing steam on the big screen.
Yeah. And we'll touch back on the parks in a second, but I do want to say this opened May 22nd, as I said. Opened up against the remake of Poltergeist, something that might be covered down the line on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll see.
But you also know what films it was going up against?
What?
Age of Ultron.
Big.
In the theaters May 1st. Maybe the most excited I ever was for a movie.
I think we've talked about this, but I was definitely more excited for Avengers Age of Ultron than Force Awakens.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that first Avengers movie so much when I was a kid. I feel like we talked about the MCU every single episode of the show so far. But also like this was the era. Like we were like 13 watching Avengers. Like it was like, or I was 11, whatever. And it was like the coolest thing of all time.
Yeah, and like I liked Avengers. It was good, but something about that marketing campaign and the trailers.
No strings to hold me down. Speaking of Disney, there were two other movies in theater. There's this month that I also saw in theaters.
What are they?
Pitch Perfect 2.
You motherfucker. You saw Pitch Perfect 2 in theaters and Tomorrowland?
What about it?
I don't think you could be the host
I like
of
Pitch
Shelf
Perfect.
Warmers.
I like Pitch Perfect.
The whole point of the show is these have been on the shelf. You were there opening day.
And the other movie that went up against around the same time was Fury Road, a movie I also saw in theaters. It was a big month for me. Big month for me.
Maybe I was like down with something because I didn't see Fury Road. I didn't see.
It's called being lazy.
You think I was
lazy? Get your ass to the theater.
Well, it's 2015. What was that? 7th grade?
Yeah.
Spring of 7th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing, but I wasn't seeing Tomorrowland.
And this also, I like to say, is a part of our Disney disaster series. This is the third out of our 4th Disney disaster films. Next week, well, you're going to have to listen and find out about that. But so far, we've covered John Carter of Mars, The Lone Ranger, and now we're on Tomorrowland.
Yes.
So Sam, before we kind of get into the main discussion of the episode, I also would like to ask you, what is your relationship with Disney World and Disney and just the kind of the mythos of it all? Because this film is kind of in love with Disney, but also like kind of drops that thread kind of pretty early on. It's kind of interesting thing that does with the idea of the theme parks and amazement and wonder and everything.
Well, I've got a lot of the Disney trivia a little later on, but personally, I mean, the Disney vault was something that was extremely coveted in my house. Like the idea of these movies being locked away and then re-released on DVD, and they would be like the silver collection, and there was like this little star that was on the DVD, and it was like Movie Rewards Club or Disney Rewards Club, whatever the hell it was.
By my Jungle Book one, I think I had that.
Yeah, and it was like my memory of it, and this could be completely wrong, is like when we were young and at the ripe age of being into these movies, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, I feel like they were coming out on DVD as we were growing up. So I remember it was like the 70th anniversary. No, that can't be right. The 50th anniversary of, whatever, 101 Dalmatians. And like I remember getting the DVD and being like, hell yeah, like let's pop this in. Well, and like having the films, like when you're a kid, you become so invested in the Disney world and the characters. It's like you almost know the stories before you even watch the movie. You go to the park and you're like, oh my god, Goofy, like I know.
Oh my
Goofy.
gosh, Baloo from the Jungle Book.
Yeah, Baloo.
It's Cruella.
There's some weird ones. Like if you go on a bad day, you get like the C-listers, the D-listers. Like I remember when I went to Disney. I've only been to Disney twice.
Really?
First time was like the time when I was like in 2nd grade, and I was like so jazzed, and I was getting the autographs,
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I remember it was the little girl ant from Bug's Life running around Animal Kingdom, and I was like, I don't
You
even
need to get Flick.
I don't even know her fucking name, so I don't want her autograph.
You said, "Oh, to sign it, the girl ant, lady ant,
Little girl ant. Dear Sam, keep up the good work."
I'll see you in the anthill."
I was just like, what the hell? And then there was I remember Peter Pan was rocking it. He was walking around,
Yeah,
and that was great.
it was just strange to me with Pan. I don't think the same way now, but back in the day, I remember he would be the human head, and you see Hook would have
The huge mascot.
yeah, and it was always a strange thing to me.
Yeah, have some consistency. Maybe that's changed now.
I'd also like to say too that for the DVDs of the 2000s, I think I was at a record store the other day. And I was talking to this guy about. He asked me if I really had DVDs growing up, and I said, yeah, like we had DVDs, and we were on the edge of VHSs too. But I said I didn't really have any CDs because that was kind of by the time that we started listening to music. That already was like we had Apple Music or whatever, iTunes. But I was saying that like we were kind of the last, or we were kind of the last of the generation to really have DVDs and VHSs in that amount we had it. I think because it was kind of the early invention, and within 10 years it was like, okay, well you can rent it on demand. So that kind of left quickly. I think they were like, shit, like this is like a big thing. Let's just pump them out. HD remaster.
It's weird. Every time we talk, I love doing this show because it really does unlock memories for me. And I remember like a pastime of mine as a kid was looking at my huge shelf of DVDs and like doing a reorg. So I would spend like 3 hours on a Saturday and being like, let's sort them by genre. Let's do genre. Oh, what's
That
this
makes so
genre?
much
What's
sense,
that genre? Okay, fuck it. Let's do order of release. Order of release. And that always took the fucking longest because I had to look it up and put them in order, and it made no sense because it was like, what?
Why is like Jungle Book right next to Dirty Harry?
And I was like, okay. And then most commonly alphabetical, obviously. Sure. But maybe the release date one is why I'm pretty good with release dates.
Yeah, because you're like a kid whose mom gave him like extra homework on the weekend. Like you were like in advance, like trying to train for this.
Yeah, I didn't have many friends, so I played with my DVDs.
I don't remember this, but for example, in Tomorrowland they have a talking robot, or sorry, a talking a trash can.
Okay.
That if like you try to throw stuff in, he'll be like, "Hey, what are you doing that for?" And
I'm a trash can.
Yeah, and then like he has wheels, and someone's like, and there's a guy who's like actually like controlling him, and he's like hiding away, so you don't see the trash can.
Yeah.
But like they don't like be like stop putting stuff in me, and like he'll like be all mad. Yeah, but stuff like that, I was always like just amazed by that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, he's doing bits. Like,
so
what?
You remember Tomorrowland?
Oh yeah, vividly. It had Monsters Inc., Laugh Factory, had the Buzz Lightyear ride, Space Mountain, obviously, and it had the Carousel of Progress, which is one of my favorites. Which was,
it is because that's mentioned in the research.
Yes, yeah. It's a great big beautiful tomorrow. That's the song that plays at the end of Carousel of Progress.
And I think it's in the movie.
Yes, yeah, it is, and that was Walt's like vision for the future, and it was this thing. It starts in like I want to say like the 20s, maybe even before that, and it goes through a few like like decades. So
it's like a classic Disney animatronic.
Yes, absolutely.
Experience.
And then you, the audience, sit in these seats, and then the theater it does like a rotating thing in the vein of like Jurassic Park.
Yes.
When they're seeing this stuff, and they're
it's sort of like a ride.
Yeah, exactly. So but so the idea of Tomorrowland was always very exciting to me.
Tomorrowland, the movie.
It starts on a shitty like digital like glitch effect that you would find like in Da Vinci, and I went, oh no.
It's like boop boop, and then it's this crisp 4K looking footage of Clooney.
Is this thing on?
And he's talking right to the camera. And this was a scene I thought was like added on later by the studio.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, this is like lame. Like, it's basically just exposition yelling right at the audience.
It feels how it's written though feels like very Incredibles. Like like it's.
I was thinking that too, and like the way it's cut together, it almost struck me as like it kind of you could imagine what it would look like if it was animated.
Yeah, if it was a Violet and a Bob doing that or something.
Yeah.
I also did note that this is pretty much all three, actually literally all three of the movies so far in our Disney disaster series have been a like story within a story, or a frame within a frame. What do you want to say?
I was noticing that too, and there's a lot of overlap with like nostalgia and like, remember when it was the 30s in San Francisco and this little cowboy was talking to Tonto in a Native American exhibit? And this one's like, remember the 1964 World's Fair?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't.
Wasn't that great?
And
I think my grandpa even remembers that.
yeah. But yeah, so Clooney's telling the story about when he was a kid, and then we have this pretty extended flashback to the 1964 World's Fair, where young Clooney is walking around with his jetpack.
Yeah.
That he's created. Jetpack. Pock?
Jet packet, I used to say.
Jetpack.
Was little. I'd be like,
Jet packet?
yeah, I'd be like, he's a jet packet.
And then your mom would hit you on the nose.
Yeah.
Pack.
Hit me with a rolling pin.
It's pack. Jet packet. And it's in the 1964 World's Fair where he talks to Hugh Laurie.
House MD himself.
And he's kind of looking at the jetpack and he's like, this doesn't work. And he's like, well, kinda. And then we get a cutaway within the flashback where he like he blasts off and like fucking crashes.
Yeah.
And that's
in this farmland,
really good.
Yeah. No, it felt like Hugo to me. The opening scene.
Well, because then also Hugo Echo, like, he meets this girl and he's talking to this girl and she's somehow related to Hugh Laurie in this 64 World's Fair thing. And I guess they strike up a friendship. And that girl is played by Raffi Cassidy.
Yes.
Who we just saw in The Brutalist this past year.
Yes. That incredibly short film, The Brutalist.
Yeah.
Longer than Tomorrowland, but does it feel like it? Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah.
It feels long.
Which one?
Tomorrowland.
Oh, I was saying The Brutalist feels longer because it is longer.
You feel it.
Yeah, you feel it.
Because it is.
I will say I did take an intermission for tomorrow. And I get to Paris and I was like, oh, I'm getting really tired. So I just set an alarm and I took a 15-minute nap. And
yeah, they end up in Paris.
Yeah, and I kept watching it. But it was nice though, honestly. Like I felt like I was rejuvenated for the second half.
That's good.
Actually, it's not even second half because Hugh Laurie reappears with like 40 minutes left in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
It's hefty. Well, Clooney does, well.
He's in show for like an hour and 10 again.
Yeah, like I said, there's this big opening like flashback of Clooney and eventually he gets invited by the girl to go to Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
So he's flying around his jetpack. This robot helps him repair the jetpack and now it works. Cool. So he's flying around Tomorrowland like da-da-da-da-da, like so great. Then it's like we get Britt Robertson, who's also in the beginning, and she explains her past.
Yeah.
And we get Judy Greer.
One scene
in this 2003 found footage.
Yeah. Judy Greer and Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw, who's really good.
He's good in this movie. He's
really good as
he's good in a bad movie, The Blind Side.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's also in one of the Yellowstone shows, I think.
Yes.
So this is probably this is kind of an odd career choice for him, I guess.
Yeah. So then we see Britt Robertson, Casey playing Casey.
Yeah.
And Casey's running around and like she's like breaking into NASA.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome.
And
it's very 2015 though. Like me think of like Ethan Hunt.
They play some horrendous song.
I was thinking about how many like alt rock bands from the 2010s made like a good check from like a random like like action movie being like, oh, this fits the era. And, like throwing them some
and then they're like jumping around the launch pad. And then yeah, her dad is a NASA engineer, we find out.
Tim McGraw. I do like, before we jump a little bit too far ahead from the opening, I do like that feeling that it captures of them being on, like, It's a Small World and stuff. Like, it's,
oh, yes.
Like, there's almost like
at the
fear.
64 World's Fair, there's this whole scene where they go on It's a Small World.
Yeah, it's also interesting that they, like, didn't choose, like, Space Mountain, and they chose It's a Small World.
That's actually historically accurate.
Oh, because it was the first one?
Disney brought that to the World Fair in New York, that actual attraction.
I do wonder why they make it Disney. Like, is that just like an ode to Disney, or like, you know what I mean? Like, why frame it within that and then like never go back to it?
Because it actually happened.
No, I know, but I'm saying like it's almost like it is like a lot to be like, oh, Walt Disney World exists in this universe,
yes.
and then like
And then they go to
I thought it'd be like more.
Also,
Yeah.
Tomorrowland is like not even mentioned in the
No,
movie.
they say it like one time. I
So
think
what
like
are we
in the
meant
third
to?
act.
What are we actually meant to believe Tomorrowland is?
That's what I was curious about. But I was curious, like, is this just like why use the name and use everything and then like not have it like tying to the story? Like I was seeing that opening scene, I was like, oh, I haven't seen this movie in 10 years. Is the lore of Disney involved in this plot? But not really.
That would actually be freaking cool if the villain of the movie was Walt Disney's
Right?
head.
Well, yeah, but
On
there's something
ice.
insane like that. Or like, oh, it's like, it's the shady, like, what businessmen and the inventors or something like that. I don't know. It's not really like, because even like Hugh Laurie, you don't even know like what he does.
There is some kind of weird, like cosmic, creepy thing happening with the Disney connection.
Sure.
Where
Yeah.
it's like Disney's goal. He basically got, I guess, bored of animating movies towards the end of his life, and was really looking towards Epcot
Yeah.
and trying to make this, city of the future, whatever Epcot
Yeah.
stands for.
Well, you also know that he literally was like making like a town in Florida that was gonna be like a Disney
Colony.
Yeah, like actually it was like his version of Utopia.
Yeah.
And he
creepy.
died before it happened, which
Yeah.
is like always like complicates his legacy to me, because I think about this more and more, and I'm like thinking about like the the iconic imagery of Disney, and I think like, well, designed by Nazis, Walt was not a great guy himself. I'm like, what does his utopia mean? And that's kind of what I was thinking in the back of my head during this movie. I was like, what is this taking inspiration from? Like, is it just taking his name and ideas in only name, or is it like, what is the angle that Brad Bird had for this? Like, is it a love for Disney? Like, what is his inspiration behind this? And I couldn't really find it.
I think it is going to the parks and maybe having some kind of wonder and hope for the future in that park. I don't know. The villain of the movie, played by Hugh Laurie, he has this baller monologue.
He does.
And I wrote it down because I want to recite it eventually. But he makes some really good points.
He does.
And
I was also surprised by how timely a whole movie is and how smart it is. And I was like, oh, this is like a political movie. When I was like 14, I didn't have any like awareness of that.
Yeah, it is political though. But like we said, Walt Disney did have this idea for a city of the future. Epcot, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, which I guess now is just a giant silver ball.
Yeah,
and
pretty much that.
Some Chinese restaurants and Italian restaurants all put together.
And like a racetrack.
Test track. I remember Test Track.
And a mission to Mars, maybe.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of the sci-fi ones, the most to be like, oh, this is Walt's vision realized, I guess. But even though it's like not that at all.
And then make Tomorrowland itself in the Magic Kingdom was also like this weird vision of his future.
Yeah. Flying cars.
And
such.
Robots and jetpacks.
And slim buildings.
Sleek buildings. Huge robots. Please.
How do you feel about the pin as like the item of the movie?
It kind of reminded me of the ring in Lord of the Rings.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a cool design. It's a cool thing to keep us going.
You basically see Athena, who's the girl from The Brutalist, and she takes a piece of Casey's hair and like scans it and like syncs it up with this pin, and then like leaves the pin with her. So then when she is breaking into the launch pad for NASA, she gets arrested. So at that point, this is the scene we were talking about in the trailer, when she's bailed out of jail. She's picking up all her stuff, and the last thing is this pin. And she's like,
I've never seen that.
what is this? Like, this isn't my pin. Like, what is this? This is crazy. Like,
Prison guard like disappears into the darkness.
and in the trailer, you almost think, oh, he's in on it.
Yeah.
But in the movie, there's nothing points to that really. But it is kind of strange how he just walks away into the darkness.
What?
So she's in this like, jail waiting room, and when she touches it, she's in the frame, and then suddenly everything around her is like this field.
Match cut, as they say in the
Match cut.
business.
It's seamless. It looks great. Like that stuff is just like fun movie making stuff. Which is, and there's like a sound effect that is made when she touches it. It was like boom, boom. Like it's fun.
It feels very Wizard of Oz, and literally also in the opening scene there is that framing of him when he first walks into Tomorrowland. It's the Dorothy shot.
Yeah.
Which I guess was Bird's biggest inspiration, maybe honestly. From I feel like in terms of the look of the whole city of Tomorrowland, it does feel a very like Emerald City.
But it's sleek buildings and huge robots.
Sleek buildings and huge robots instead of flying monkeys and little men pretending to be big men.
Not huge men, not huge robots. But yeah, like you said, Brad Bird directs this. It's extremely watchable.
I like it. I liked it.
I liked it too. I did.
Well, you didn't sound too thrilled about it, but I really was surprised by how much I enjoyed this.
I think it's a little slow. I actually think it gets better towards the middle.
And then the third act has a complete drop off of kind of nothing happening. Cause I had that issue.
Until the very end. I think this
Yes.
is actually one of the most moving last shots in the movie.
Yeah. I also love the character of Casey. Actually, let me say that. I don't love the character of Casey, but really enjoy the the setup of that she's this rebel, and she's in school and she's smart and she's driven, and there's this like really good a montage of her just trying to raise her hand in each class, and teachers are just going on and on about how the world is
the
world's
teachers
screwed.
are cartoonishly crazy, where they're like mutually assured destruction, climate change, like 1984 is now, like.
And then she just wants to ask why, like how do we fix it? And they don't really
like, can we fix it?
They don't want to give her an answer. They rather sit in that fear, which is kind of the thesis of the movie. You rather just like sit and worry and complain than actually like take action.
Yeah.
To fix the world around you, which is kind of what the Brad Bird anxiety, which is what he was writing about.
That's kind of where I'm at with the movie, where it's like the core theme of the movie I absolutely adore. Like this idea of having hope, and there's this whole, and it's obviously over the top in the movie, but it's meant for children. You meant to kind of buy into these bigger themes of, the story of the two wolves.
Yeah.
That Casey's dad tells her about, where one wolf.
I couldn't tell you.
Well, I know it's from like, if you feed an angry wolf or something, what the fuck is it?
It will come back for more, but if you, I don't know.
So Casey's like, there are two wolves, and they are always fighting. One is darkness and despair. The other is light and hope. Which wolf wins?
It's the one you feed, right?
Whichever one you feed. So you're either feeding darkness and despair. If you're feeding into that and creating that, you end up with teachers who are like, yeah, the world's going to end. We're all going to die.
Yeah, a media cycle.
Yeah, if you feed light and hope, maybe things will change. And she is that change, because basically when she stumbles across Clooney's this doomsdayer, constantly watching these screens as the countdown is going, and he's like, 100%, the world's going to end 100%. As soon as she walks in and she's like, wait, what is this? What's going on? Like, she starts to doubt it. She starts to have a little bit of hope. It's a great visual. The 100% goes to 99.999.
Yeah.
It's like, boop. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, and he starts to have hope. And it's this thematic shift, which is great.
Yeah, she starts to go out on a quest once she uncovers this pin has more of a meaning than it's just a pin. She's seeing these visions of Tomorrowland. She goes out to Austin, Texas, or is it somewhere in Texas?
Yeah.
To kind of seek out this couple that's a retro shop in order to see if they know anything about the pin. And it's kind of the start of her journey. She's getting followed by Athena too, and it's really kind of cool but weird scene with her and Catherine Hahn and Keegan-Michael Key in a terrible wig.
and also, does he have like a fat suit on?
Yeah, fat suit on.
But it's like not a big fat suit. He just has like a gut.
The gut, yeah, and she's in a southern accent.
Yeah.
For some reason, he's not. And it's just kind of this like weird moment where also I feel like he is making fun of like the nerd culture too, as someone that's really mainly only done like original stuff. I
Well,
mean, I
it's
guess
funny.
Tomorrowland, Mission Impossible.
It's funny you say that because Brad Bird was the first choice to direct Episode 7
Star Wars. Wow.
of Star Wars, and he respectfully declined to do Tomorrowland. And he was like, "Well, it's rare to do a film of this size that's original, so those opportunities can't be missed either."
Yep, and it missed big. It put him in director jail again, I guess, except for Incredibles 2. But that was kind of like that's like a sure thing hit.
Come back, come home, Brad Bird.
Come home, Brad Bird. Yeah, he. But it's just got this crazy scene where they sort of talk about the place, and then you find out that they're actually robots. They're sent from Hugh Laurie, and they're going to kill her now.
Yeah.
And it's like this kind of fun, futuristic fight where
There's
where
all
like
these toys flying around.
yeah,
Stuff
I saw Mr. Incredible
Yeah.
action figure, but it's like really kind of embracing the sci-fi like technology and kind of the Looney Tunes as sort of like big gun that we have hid under the table, and it's fun. And the robots and they explode, and then she kind of links up with Athena.
Yeah.
And then you get the also you get the introduction to the other robots,
The henchmen.
the henchmen of the movie, who are these like super like smiley guys who just show up and they kill people. That's kind of what they do, but they're like really fun. I'm like, oh, like it's a fun choice.
Apparently, the head henchman is called Dave Clark, and it's like the Dave Clark 5, which is like some band from the 60s. And it's like, I don't know who that's.
Went over my head.
I don't
Sorry,
know who
Brad
that's
Bird.
really for. But yeah, so then you get to kind of like the midpoint, and she catches up with Clooney, and like we said, Clooney's this doomsdayer.
Yeah. And this is when it comes alive. I think
Yeah, this is where I was like, I'm in.
a lot of this movie is her yelling, getting thrown around, and asking questions. And at first the questions were kind of annoying to me, but the more we watched it, I was like, oh, I enjoy that the older generation is choosing to like ignore her, and she's curious and she wants to learn, and they're like, no, and it's like a rejection of that.
Put your head in the sand and hope the blast isn't too hot.
Yeah, and she wants to fix the future. Oh, also, her and Athena like go on a car ride together, and Athena, in order to steal the truck, gets slammed by like an F-150.
Brutal. At this point, we already know she's a robot.
Yeah, we do.
Athena is a robot, but she presents as a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So this little girl is standing in the street, and then a 16-wheeler comes. Maybe not 16. It's a big truck.
Yeah, no. It was like a Ford F-150 or something.
Comes in, fucking takes her out, and the driver gets out of the car. Honestly, I think he was actually a little bit too subdued. He's like, oh my god.
Oh, girl, you okay?
If you think you mowed down a little girl, you're gonna be like,
You're like,
Jesus.
I'm going to prison. I'm going to
Yeah,
prison.
like, my whole life just got fucked like that.
And then
Yeah, she becomes like the Terminator in that moment.
She got it.
Because then Casey steals the truck that's unattended
Like
and
speed
drives
ramper.
off, and then Athena comes back to life and like Robert Patrick like jumps into the pickup truck, like smashes the window.
And then
Everyone's
she has the brakes.
screaming,
And
like-
she half this movie is her like doing flips, which is just kind of
Yeah.
funny to me. It's like half CGI flips from her.
And then Athena drops Casey off at Clooney's house and like just drives off. And it's like kind of weird, but the audience at this point is kind of like, okay, so Athena and Clooney kind of have this weird
History,
sort
because
of
they met when they were
history.
kids.
And obviously she's a robot.
She's still a kid.
So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, like I guess he grew up and
Yeah.
didn't know she was a robot. Like, you don't really know.
I also like the generational work they're doing here in terms of like, it is like a father-daughter story, even though it's like not a father-daughter story. I also would also maybe like if they like brought Tim McGraw and brought the little brother with them in the adventure.
The little brother who also looks like young Clooney in the movie.
I thought it was the same actor at first.
I was
like,
confused.
yeah, they look exactly the same. I was like, oh, this could be kind of like a fun family thing. But I'm like, oh, is that too similar to The Incredibles? You want to distance that? But I do like what they're doing with in terms of like, his opening. He's at the World Fair, and like her opening is being filmed on a camcorder. Even just that little thing, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a fun thing, the way you're bringing these generations of people together.
But it's kind of cool how they started from the same place.
Absolutely.
As the film says, they start off as these dreamers. The world needs dreamers, and you're this kid, and you have all these ideas. And, you know, when Casey meets Clooney's character, he's very jaded. He's very, cynical, and he's lost all hope. Which, I mean, you could figure out how the rest of the movie goes.
Yeah.
But
he changes.
He changes.
Let's talk about Clooney for a second, because, goddamn, he's a movie star.
Well, to start off, biggest paycheck he's received for a movie.
Probably his last big paycheck. For
$23 million.
Wow. Has he opened a movie like this since then? Probably not, right?
He kind of went away for a while, I feel like.
Yeah, he did like some more work in the directing field, right?
Well, first of all, Clooney gives
Suburbia.
this movie... That's right.
Oh, we should do that.
You just witnessed creation on the pod, folks.
I completely forgot about that movie. Wow.
He's in The Flash?
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about that. I was like, why is he at the end of The Flash as Batman? So strange.
But
I feel the answer to that, too. It's because they didn't want to set anyone up for expectations. They're like, oh, it's like, could be Affleck in the next DCU. It could be Robert Pattinson. It could be Michael Keaton. No, we're just going to throw in Clooney. Because no one will think he's going to keep being Batman.
Clooney, we were saying we think he kind of went away, but he kind of pops up every few years. So he does Monuments Men before Tomorrowland.
Which he directs, too?
Yeah. Then he does, like, Hail Caesar.
Oh, he's great in Hail Caesar.
He's really good in
great
that.
in Hail Caesar.
Then Money Monster.
Oh, with him and Roberts, right?
Yeah, him and Julia Roberts. It's a Jodie Foster film.
Wow, that's interesting.
That would be good to do on the pod. Cha-ching. We're just having a production meeting now. And I think, was this a COVID movie? Midnight Sky? Like a sci-fi one?
He also directed that too.
He's not
Netflix movie.
He's not a terribly good director.
No. Maybe his best is
he does it a
Confessions
lot.
of a Dangerous Mind is maybe his best.
Yeah. He keeps
with Rockwell.
Our guy.
One of our guys.
There's a lot of guys.
He has some movies that could be on here. With Best of Enemies with him and like Taraji P. Henson, where he was in his racist kick of playing racists.
He's really good at it, actually. But yeah, I think Clooney and Casey, Britt Robertson, I feel like they're really good together.
They are good.
And because he's George Clooney, because he is a huge-ass celebrity and a great actor, it does elevate this otherwise kind of predictable script.
I think the best thing in this movie is when they're in his house and then suddenly the robots show up. And it's like a Looney Tunes scene, like it's all like Home Alone. Oh, them just like if him just using his inventions and killing these robots.
If Clooney was Kevin McAllister,
yeah, and she was Bugs Bunny. Whoa, wouldn't that be awesome? I would love to see that. Two icons, two icons at the silver screen killing robots together.
And then they make their escape.
Meet up with Athena again.
Athena and Clooney are bickering, which is kind of funny to watch. Like, I thought usually the downside of these movies is like the drama scenes and the dialogue scenes. I actually liked a lot of the more dramatic scenes in this movie.
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of the choices they make in the beats are very like fun and creative, but the overarching plot is boring. It makes sense.
That's exactly, you hit the nail on the head there.
Because the next they go to Paris and they launch a rocket out of the Eiffel Tower, which is an awesome sequence. And I was like, this rules. This absolutely rules. And I was like, where are we going? We're going back to the Nova Corps from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because that's what the whole entire place looks like in Tomorrowland. I was like, you can make it like a little bit more visually interesting. Like it's like
colorful.
Kind of, yeah, exactly.
Isn't Tomorrowland colorful?
Yeah.
Like the real Tomorrowland.
Like it's like retro futuristic. So it's maybe a little bit like... It's like a little gray, but I'm like, well, make it look better because you're doing a movie now.
Yeah, if you're doing Oz as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they go to, like we said, the Eiffel Tower, and you're like, what the fuck? Why are they at the Eiffel Tower? And you find out from Frank. Frank's like a history nerd, which is kind of funny. He explains that Gustav Eiffel, who I'm going to sound dumb. I don't know if that was a real guy.
Yeah. Let's just say he is.
No,
Original Bash is saying he's a real guy.
I'm saying he's a real guy.
Oh.
I didn't know who he was before.
I didn't know who he was either.
I just thought it was the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, it's a French word.
Yeah, Eiffel.
Eiffel. We call it a tower.
The tower. It's a Tomorrowland.
It bombed here in France. They desecrated our tower.
They made a rocket ship come out of a tower.
Can you believe that's so phallic? A rocket ship out of our tower.
So he explains. They basically go in, and this is like another kind of Disney. What I like,
There's like a Hall of Presidents.
We were talking about it earlier. Like the movie is not actively about Disney, but
no, it's like Disney adjacent.
That's why I think Bird has a lot of love for the parks and lore, where it's like now we're in the Eiffel Tower, and there's these 4 creepy wax figures sitting together, and he explains that Gustave Eiffel, Jules Verne, Nikola Tesla,
and Thomas Edison,
and a hometown hero, Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
They all co-founded this thing. I glazed over this when I was watching it. I had to look it up later. They co-founded Plus Ultra, a secret society of futurists who, I guess, created Tomorrowland in another dimension where they were free to make scientific breakthroughs without obstruction. The trio used an antique rocket called the Spectacle, hidden beneath the Eiffel Tower, to travel to Tomorrowland.
That is cool.
Which I just like. The alternate history. Like
I was gonna say that. Yeah, like revisionist history.
Yeah.
Like, what if these guys were all like chill as hell and made stuff together?
Yeah.
Cool concept.
And
That sounds sarcastic, but it is a cool concept. I do like stuff.
And they look cool, all sitting there.
Yeah. Then they kind of take the rocket to Tomorrowland, which is, like you said, in another dimension.
And she's like, "Oh my god, like we're going to space. This is awesome." And they're like, "Well, not quite," because then the rocket like goes back towards Earth. But however the hell it works,
Wormholes.
They go towards Earth, and then it like spins around and it goes through a cloud and then it pops out and it's Tomorrowland, fantastic,
fantastic. And they also hit those sleek buildings,
which just reminded me, fucking Michael Giacchino does the score for this.
Good score.
He's consistent,
very consistent,
and so good.
And they crash land. Also worth mentioning that both Frank and Athena are banned from Tomorrowland. So this is their
You were kicked out
break
too?
back in. Yeah. 25 years ago.
And it's a fun thing where they're like on this mission together, but Clooney and Athena are trying to kind of make amends.
Yeah, they have a history.
And there's this sweet line where Athena, they almost feel like the more kind of father-daughter thing.
Yeah.
But she's also has this hyper-intelligence because she's a robot.
And he was in love with her when he was a boy.
Yeah, so it's a little complicated.
Yeah.
But,
things get a little crazy.
She says this
in Tomorrowland.
In Tomorrowland. Also, the script's co-written by Damon Lindelof.
I do have a note on that. Do you think that they had to set part of the third act on a beach because it was co-written by Damon Lindelof?
Had to get back to the island. We have to go back. And she says to him, he's like, "I was just dumb, and because the reason he's jaded is because he feels he was cheated by Tomorrowland, and he's like, that's a commercial, like, that's all bullshit, like, da-da-da.
Which I think is Brad Bird's...
I was just a dumb kid who fell for it.
Himself thinking that there was going to be, like, a better future, except that now we have what we have now, which sucks.
Yeah, and she's like, "You were many things, Frank Walker, but you were never dumb."
I like that line.
I was like, "Aw." I had a lot of moments watching this where I was like,
"Aw. Athena, aw."
Athena. And then, they're back in Tomorrowland. They link up with Hugh Laurie. He's like...
They meet up with him. He's mad as hell.
He's like, well, it's too late.
Stupid-ass outfit.
He's like, too late. The world's going to end. It's around here where he gives his monologue.
Oh, please hit me with it.
Which I could read.
He also has his dyed hair in this, too, which makes him look worse. He looks good with the gray, too.
Yeah, they're like... Maybe it's like... Clooney was like, maybe I'll dye my hair for good night, good luck.
Because Hugh Laurie looks so good in it on the set of Tomorrowland.
Meanwhile, everyone's like, Hugh Laurie looks like shit. don't tell Clooney. Clooney wants to dye his hair.
You look like a mannequin, years. Clooney.
10 years since this film. I think, spoiler alert, or maybe we shouldn't say when we're recording this.
Oh, I mean, it's a sad day. It's a sad day, everyone. George Wendt has passed away today. I'd like to give a special shout out to his son in the black and white music video for Michael Jackson. Macaulay Culkin.
Turn down. What does he say? Turn down that TV.
Yeah. I hope you're doing okay today as you lost your music video father, and we're gonna have a drink for you tonight.
We will,
George.
But what I was gonna say is, we're coming up on Memorial Day weekend, and this movie came out Memorial Day weekend, so it's exactly 10 years, pretty much.
Actually, literally in 2 days, it would have been the 10th anniversary.
I don't think we'll ever be this intentional with it, but
happy birthday, Tomorrowland.
I want to say happy birthday.
I want to say happy birthday to Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland.
That's our. How do you explain that video? There's a video of Alec Baldwin on his Instagram, and he's wishing
happy birthday to his dad, who would have been 104 or something crazy.
Yeah, but as times has gone on and we keep forgetting the age, now I would just say happy birthday to my dad. He would have been 138 today.
Keeps getting older.
I would just say happy birthday to Athena. She would have been 158. And then, yeah, the third act has kind of revealed that Hugh
Laurie basically lays down the facts, and he's saying, in 58 days the world's gonna end because you humans suck and you're just gonna be consumed by this fear. And here in Tomorrowland, we're gonna do whatever we want, and it's gonna be peaceful, and there's gonna be no politics, no bureaucracy, and we'll just get shit done.
Yeah.
And he goes into this whole thing. And I think he's talking to the girl at this point.
Yeah.
Casey. Where he's like, let's imagine if you glimpsed the future, you were frightened by what you saw. What would you do with that information? You would go to the politicians, captains of industry? And how would you convince them? Data? Facts? Good luck. The only facts they won't challenge are the ones that keep the wheels greased and the dollars rolling in. Whoa. But what if? What if there was a way of skipping the middleman and putting the critical news directly into everyone's head? The probability of widespread annihilation kept going up. The only way to stop it was to show it, to scare people straight. Because what reasonable human being wouldn't be galvanized by the potential destruction of everything they've ever known or loved? To save civilization, I would show its collapse. But how do you think this vision was received? How do you think people responded to the prospect of imminent doom? They gobbled it up like a chocolate eclair. They didn't fear their demise, they repackaged it. It could be enjoyed as video games, as TV shows, books, movies. The entire world wholeheartedly embraced the apocalypse and sprinted towards it with gleeful abandon. Meanwhile, your Earth was crumbling all around you. You've got simultaneous epidemics of obesity and starvation. Explain that one. Bees and butterflies start to disappear. The glaciers melt. Algae blooms. All around you, the coal mine canaries are dropping dead, and you won't take the hint. In every moment, there's a possibility of a better future, but you people won't believe it. And because you won't believe it, you won't do what is necessary to make it a reality. So you dwell on this terrible future. You resign yourselves to it for one reason, because that future does not ask anything of you today. So yes, we saw the iceberg and warned the Titanic, but you all just steered for it anyway, full steam ahead. Why? Because you want to sink. You gave up. That's not the monitor's fault. That's yours.
Wow. Bravo. Bravo, bravo.
That's the real deal.
Yeah. That is the monologue of a jaded man.
But he's right.
Yeah.
You can't take the hint. The canaries are dead. Now what?
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know. I felt like when I heard that, I was like,
yeah.
I was scared because I was like, he's right. Like,
yeah. It also was cool to see this movie again 10 years later, almost to the day, and be like,
same place.
Yeah, we're the same place, and we're worse. But
It's
also,
worse. We're closer.
But also, when I'm 14, like that stuff didn't really hit for me. It was just like it was a bad guy like doing a monologue. But now I'm like, oh, like wow,
He's
yeah,
got
like
shit to say.
Yeah, this film is very real.
He's like, explain that. How does it make any sense? You see that the world's gonna end, and you're just not gonna do anything.
Yeah, and he's still treated like a villain, but
he dies horribly. Actually,
he does die horribly. Much like
his leg gets trapped under this piece of metal, and then a fucking ball the size of a building falls on him, and he says, "Bollocks."
Yeah,
and he dies.
One of those things where I'm like, yeah, you're a bad guy, but also think I do agree with a lot of things you're saying in this movie. I almost wish we got more of him. He's in the opening scene and he's gone for an hour and 10 minutes.
But what he doesn't understand
Even more than that
is hope.
We need hope.
We need hope, and basically the turning point, and it's like she has to figure out what happened. She has to figure out how to save the day because she's the reason it went from 100% destruction to 99.99999.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait. What did she say? She's like,
It's almost like the Polar Express. Like, but have hope.
you gotta believe.
Yeah.
And she's
You
like,
hear the bell.
she's like, if we're sending these messages of destruction and horror, and that's leading us towards destruction, like, I'm actually not sure exactly what she does in the end
No,
here.
she hacks her frequency or something. Similar to what she did for
sends
NASA.
Good things to them?
Yeah, sends happy vibes.
Good vibes? I
Good
guess?
vibes,
Good
and
vibes.
then-
Save
yeah.
the world here.
And then Athena gets shot and dies.
Oh my
and
god.
then they make a
Horribly
yeah.
moving, I thought.
Yeah. And then Frank he rides that jetpack he makes in the start. As they call it, Chekhov's jetpack. And he drops her. He drops her and she turns into a bomb and blows shit up.
Epic.
Yeah.
Truly epic. Because you're bummed that she's dying. And then I was doing some catch up to try and remember what was happening. And as he's dropping her, I'm like, oh my god, this better be like the Death Star. Like, this better explode everything. Yeah. And you see this, again, horrifying image. This little 13-year-old girl goes into this mechanical orb and then boom, fucking explodes. And that's what kills Hugh Laurie. Because the building is like a giant ball. And then he's like, bollocks.
Yeah. And then they kind of get to start to shape their vision of the right Tomorrowland.
Yes.
And they're sending these pins out. They're sending these robot children out to... Also, why are the robots children?
I don't know.
I feel like...
they also skipped that part where I thought they were just talking to a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you're going to go out and find more people for pins. And I was like, oh, they're robots too?
Yeah, I'm like, why do they have to be kids? I don't know if I trust Frank anymore.
That kind of reminded me of Spy Kids.
Yeah.
With all the robot kids.
Absolutely. And it's kind of this beautiful end scene where all these different people from all around the world... Wow. Are finding the pins, and they're seeing their visions of Tomorrowland. But it's not just her by herself. It's not just Casey. Her family's there. Frank's there. They're all sharing this vision of Tomorrowland, and it's hopeful.
Yeah. So there's this montage of all these different people, different cultures, different races, different genders, everything, all around the globe. And they all...
Ballet dancers.
They're all given this pin.
Safari
the Dreamers.
guys.
Yeah, some guy who looked like he was actively hunting elephants.
Yeah, I was like, is he a poacher?
He gets a pin.
We do need ivory, so
Everybody gets a pin. Yeah, all that white.
Yeah,
in Tomorrowland.
True. All this sleek buildings made of ivory.
Dark hidden secrets within 2015's Tomorrowland.
Number 15. Tomorrowland
Elephant
has
poacher gets the pin, but they all get these pins, and slowly cutting to each of them. They're all about to touch the pin. They touch the pin. Now you have all these people in that field from the beginning looking at the city of Tomorrowland. And I was like, oh, this is say what you want about, the real Walt Disney. But the myth of Walt Disney and the myth of It's a Small World, which is planted in the beginning, like you said, why is this here? It's paid off in that last shot.
Absolutely.
Where you have this actualization of It's a Small World and everyone's going to go to Tomorrowland. And Tomorrowland can be today.
And it bombs.
And,
I know we fucking saw it.
And then it becomes one of the biggest bombs. It lost almost $150 million.
Nobody wants to be happy. Nobody wants joy. They want CNN. They don't want Tomorrowland.
They want MSNBC.
They want MS-13. They don't want Tomorrowland.
More TV, more destruction, more fear.
Yeah. We'll get to our rating in a bit, but I really was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this. The messaging was good. It's taking a stand on something. It's got some fun performances, got some fun set pieces. I was very happy that
I'm liking it more.
Mum's
as
the
we
word
talk
right
about
now.
it.
It's one of the rare movies in the podcast that I've liked it more as we've talked about it. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any more facts about the production for me?
Yeah, I got a few facts here for everybody. This one made me laugh because I was like, how is this? Is this even fucking real? A spontaneous dance party broke out on set, inspired by an extra who danced like Michael Jackson.
He was there in spirit. He was guiding over the production.
Casey Newton's name is an homage to Isaac Newton.
Sure.
Do you know why? Well, Newton, but
Newton.
her first name, if you take Isaac and you flip it, it's like Casey. It's like C.
Okay, Brad.
S-I.
Okay, Brad.
Casey.
Whatever.
I kind of bought into that. I was like, that's gotta be why. So the scenes in Tomorrowland showing futuristic white buildings were actually shot on location in Spain in this place called the City of Arts and Sciences. And
Okay.
it looks a lot like, it's like, oh, that's what Tomorrowland is. And it's kind of has those like rib-shaped white buildings and the eyeball-shaped building. It's all real, which is kind of
Walt
cool.
Disney's dream imagined in Spain.
Yes. Another quick one is the store Blast from the Past, where Keegan-Michael Key works and Catherine Hahn, is also the store that Marty visits in Back to the Future Part 2.
Oh, cool. So this is
Or he walks by.
so this is in canon to Back to the Future. I was kind of off.
Sorry. But obviously,
Doc, are you telling me that there's two robots working in Blast from the Past? Blast from the Past?
they turned a Tomorrowland into a pin. And as we always have
You
here,
telling me
on
you
the
turned a little
show.
girl into a robot? And her name's Athena?
Marty! Marty! Touch the bin, Marty!
and they turn her into a fucking nuclear bomb at the end.
Marty, we have to blow up the little girl, Marty! It's okay, Marty. She wants to die.
Yeah, what if
She died for this old man, Marty.
What if Doc Brown just sat Marty down and was like, watch this movie from 2015?
58 days, Marty.
But as we always have on the show, the Marvel Smarty Corner.
Oh, I think I have it.
well, it's
did I
been,
say it?
it's you. If you have Marvel, I have, but I have a new segment.
Oh, I something for Nerd Roundup.
Okay.
Well, his name is John Francis Walker, aka the new Captain America and the new Avengers.
That'd be cool.
Marty, are you telling me?
I would love to use the Back to the Future music for every movie.
What's
But
your
yeah,
Nerd
no.
Roundup?
I've got Disney Sweaty Roundup.
Okay, hit me with it.
There's a lot. I'll blast through them. Hidden Mickey #1.
Oh, I forgot about those.
On the face of Governor Nix's watch as he arrives in Tomorrowland for the first time. I guess there's a Mickey on his watch.
Okay.
Hidden Mickey #2.
How many hidden Mickeys are there?
This is the only other one.
Okay. 2 hidden Mickeys, folks.
Casey's footprints when she falls while the guard dog chases her.
Oh yeah,
Apparently,
that was cool.
it's a Mickey thing. The pin itself, the Tomorrowland pin, is a loose reference to pin collecting as a hobby.
I have
for
a lot of
visitors.
pins.
I'm sure you do. I had freaking pins. I went there once. It's like they must make so much fucking money. It's like, oh, you're coming to the park. You need to buy $25 pins.
Well, the pins are
To be
good too.
cool.
I mean, to be fair, the quality is like,
No, I mean it's a nice as far as pins are concerned.
yeah.
But do you need the $30, $40 pin?
I don't know, man. My Davy Jones one's pretty awesome.
How much are these pins, genuinely? Because I didn't.
Oh,
I was
well,
a kid.
I was also a kid, so I have no idea.
Let's find out. I bet you.
I feel like I bought like a Lando Calrissian one when I was there last time when I was 18. I was kind of like $12 for a pin. Like, geez Louise. I do have some old ones though. Like my grandpa, like I said, he's been there from the start. So I have like pins from like the 70s.
$13 to $25
Okay.
for a single pin.
Yeah, that's kind of
fucking
crazy.
crazy.
I remember the magic of Disney is when I was little, I was with my parents and I was eating an ice cream cone and I dropped it and I started sobbing. I remember this vividly.
Maybe that's
And-
your Clooney origin story.
and one of the workers saw me sobbing and she goes back to the cart and she grabs an ice cream from me, hands it to me, and she gives me one of her pins. And one of those moments where I was like, wow, like this place is magic.
If only you'd known, you could sell that pin for $30 on
Yeah.
eBay.
If only I known that was Doc Brown.
Money.
I have a crying Disney story.
Yeah, what is it?
I
You poop your pants?
I put my pants on. I start crying. So more trivia. No. I was in line for the Aerosmith ride.
Rock and roll roller
Rock
coaster.
and roller coaster.
Now defunct, becoming the Electric Mayhem one.
Damn. Sorry, Aerosmith.
Well, yeah.
But
It's okay,
for some reason I found I guess there's a car that's upside down,
Yeah,
and I thought the roller coaster was gonna go upside down.
it does go upside down.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
I started crying. I was like,
They
I
wouldn't
can't-
lie.
I can't do this. I can't ride this. Like, I was bawling my eyes out the whole time, and I really looked like an asshole because when I eventually went on the ride, I had a blast.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go on again and again and again, but I was sobbing because I was so terrified that they were gonna make me go upside down, and then I'd die.
And all the change is gonna fall out of my pockets.
I have like so much change. Oh, my pins! I didn't buy the lanyard, but I just got loose pins. The androids in the film are called Double A's, which I don't remember.
Named after what? Me?
Double A, Andrew. Are we saying our last
Yeah, man.
name? An abbreviation for audio animatronics, which is the lingo that they use in the parks.
Okay.
Like I said, the World's Fair, New York World's Fair, did include Small World and the fucking Carousel of Progress.
Yeah.
Actually,
Actually, like generally, like if we ever go Disney together, which I don't know if we ever would, I would love to
We
take you
have
on
to.
Carousel. I love to show you Carousel of Progress. It's one of my favorite rides.
that's cool. You probably caught this. I caught this even as a two-timer, a Disney park two-timer. In the back of Tomorrowland, Space Mountain is pretty visible.
Yeah.
The ride.
It would be funny if it was actually like if it was as a ride in terms of Tomorrowland. They're like, yeah, like we got these like sleek buildings and big robots.
And it is
And it's
Space
roller
Mountain.
coaster.
This one's pretty sweaty. The upstairs bedroom of Frank Walker's house features purple haunted mansion wallpaper.
That is sweaty. Jeez Louise.
I don't know who caught that.
The ripped doors creak and the tombstones quake.
And finally, some quick things that are in the shop. There's a figure for the Iron Giant. There's a Mr. Incredible toy, as you mentioned. And there's also Simpsons stuff.
Oh yeah, he worked on The Simpsons.
Yeah, it says he was a director and creative consultant for 9 years.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for the Disney Roundup.
Nice. What kind of slate are we looking at for Tomorrowland?
Ooh, big slate. Great slate here. So some honorable mentions: Back to the Future 2, Iron Man 2, which kind of does a similar like Disney kind of takeoff. Where
Okay, yeah.
Tony Scott's-
Sure.
Sure, it's
I'm remembering Iron Man 2 because I've not thought about the plot of Iron Man 2 for a long time.
What's the freaking guy's name who
A
plays
Stark
his dad?
Expo. John Slattery.
John Slattery plays him, and he's doing a full Disney
Yeah,
thing.
he's doing Disney.
Even as a kid, I was like, "Oh, it's Disney! Like, I love it." But for the real slate, I've selected The Rocketeer, which seems like
Yeah.
a spiritual prequel almost.
the Joe Johnston.
Joe Johnston, who, you know, he's obviously a Disney guy, started at ILM and did all that stuff and
Whatever.
whatever else he did.
Jurassic Park 3.
But that movie has a jetpack, famously.
Famous jetpack.
Famous jetpack, and also like the nostalgia for the kind of retro futurist stuff. Second pick, 1997's Contact,
Oh, sure. Great movie.
which is a great film.
Speaking of Jodie Foster,
Speaking of Jodie Foster,
director of Money Monster.
Money Monster. Speaking of Zemeckis, who's also this kind of Spielberg disciple, similar to Brad Bird. And obviously having this kind of female protagonist who does have that wonder, you know, looking up at the stars, and very similar kind of arc to Jodie Foster's character in Contact, which is this journey of faith. And, you know, you're not going to know everything. You do have to have hope for the future. Great film. And the final film I've selected for the slate is 1964's Failsafe, directed by Sidney Lumet,
I've not seen it.
which is the epitome of that Hugh Laurie monologue
Yeah.
of like, here it is. This is as bleak as it gets. like nuclear destruction. What are you gonna do now? Like kind of like the end of Oppenheimer, where it's like, you all know where this can lead.
Only bad places.
Only bad. And that movie is so fucking effective. By the end, like when the credits start rolling, you want to vomit. You want to vomit.
I had that with Oppenheimer too. I was like,
Was it unrelated to the movie or the popcorn?
I ate too much popcorn.
A lot of that artificial butter. And by 3 hours, you're like, fuck, I feel so sick.
Sorry, this is very different. But I saw a video today of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Walking into like the theater to do like an intro for Mission Impossible, and there's a guy sitting in the aisle who who'd eaten his large popcorn already. Who had eaten his large popcorn. Who just points at him and goes, "You ate your popcorn already?" And like for some reason he's obsessed with popcorn. He says he eats 2 large tubs of popcorn every time he watches a movie.
That's hilarious.
He's a psycho. But we love him.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. Now, Sam, it's come to the part of the show where we give our rating on Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
So, let's just say you're going through the cabinet, you're trying to figure out what to watch. Suddenly a pin falls out. Yeah.
I suddenly remember.
You remember. You hear the bells.
It's all coming back to me now. We're in
You-
like a singing
you
mood
kinda left
today.
me. Yeah, you left me there at the end. I kind of kept...
I laid you up, bro.
Whatever. Do you pick up this pin? You're transported
To a Blu-ray player.
into a Blu-ray player, and you see the wonders of Tomorrowland. And this Blu-ray of Tomorrowland that has a pin on it also is showing you a wonderful movie. Or do you pick it up with a gum wrapper
Throw it in the fucking trash.
and you shove it into your dad's jacket pocket?
And he'll have fun with it.
Yeah.
Probably the latter. I think I would. This movie has made me want to seek out Disney works from the 60s. It makes me want to seek out the old tapes of Walt himself kind of pitching Epcot and pitching Tomorrowland. But I don't think I'll take this pin up anytime soon. What about you?
I'm grabbing that pin. I'm grabbing that Blu-ray. The Tomorrowland revisionism starts now. It's back.
Wow.
I like it. Let Brad Bird out of director jail. Let him make an original movie again.
I
had
agree
fun
with
it.
that.
Well, yeah.
For sure.
Free our man. But yeah, I thought it was really, really fun. Like I said, it warmed my heart. It thrilled me. I was entertained. Great lead performances. Some great action. Directed a little flat. It felt like Brad Bird was a little bit asleep at the wheel in terms of the direction. I was like, I know you're a little better than this. Like I said, it has some great story beats, but overall flat script. But, I think that wonder still seeps through. And that message truly moved me in the end of the day.
The message was phenomenal. Well, like we said, next week, Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
See you Tomorrowland.
Thank you for listening to Shelf Warmers. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can follow us on social media at shelfwarmers.podcast, where you can send us movies to take off the shelf for future episodes.